What about the children? That is the question, Exuma. I had it right here. What about the children? And so we need the house, the development, and the improvement for our young people. After-school program at Queens Park and Presque Ridge, baseball with Cecil Penn. At the Central Angels High School, completing that track that Basil O'Neill started over 10 years ago at the Central Angels High School. Improving the facilities for baseball with the Freedom Farm and Greg Burrows and his fine organization in South Andros. Governance is continuous.
Well, stay with us. There's more news after this. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight, first at 6.
No matter what your goals are in life, you have to start somewhere. It all begins with Leno. Leno, bridging possibilities. Call us at 396-3225 or email info@lenobahamas.com.
Today is a day for fun. Today is a day for family. So why should yesterday's worries affect my today? That's why I insure my family with J.S. Johnson, because their mission is to provide us with the best insurance coverage possible. With J.S. Johnson, I know my family comes first, so I take comfort in knowing that they always have us covered, providing us with a great today and an even better tomorrow.
J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers, giving you peace of mind.
No official word yet on when those 8 Haitian nationals will face a magistrate in connection with the disturbance at the Carmichael Road Detention Center last week. Immigration officials indicated in a statement that the detainees refused to eat, demanding to know when they'd be able to depart for Port-au-Prince, Haiti. The immigration statement also said not all of the Haitians agreed to the hunger strike, which led to an altercation among them in a dormitory. Minister of Immigration, the Honorable Ellsworth Johnson, gave an update on the matter to reporters today, noting that everything is being done to ensure that fundamental rights are maintained.
Process of facilitating those persons and their safe return to the Republic of Haiti. There are a number of other persons from different jurisdictions, and we're in the process of doing that. As you very well know, we're being in a lockdown. Other countries are being in lockdowns, sheltering in. And so diplomatically, we're working to have that done as soon as possible. Some jurisdictions haven't opened their borders as yet. And you would have seen where the competent authority would have extended by way of an order, automatically extended annual residencies, work permits for persons who find themselves within the jurisdiction.
A new murder trial could be in the works for convicted murderer Donna Vasili. You may recall that a jury convicted the Australian native of the 2013 stabbing death of her husband, noted podiatrist Philip Vasili, at their old Fort Bay home. In November of 2015, Vasili was sentenced to 20 years in prison. But 2 years later, the Court of Appeal overturned Vasili's conviction and sentence. 2 of the appeal court judges decided that Vasili should be retried, but one member of the panel decided that a retrial was not in the best interest of justice. That did not sit well with Vasili, who took her fight to the London-based Privy Council, which determined that she did have a case to answer for murder. The High Court then sent the matter back to the Court of Appeal to decide whether or not Vasili should be retried. And now the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions is apparently taking steps to ensure that Vasili's retrial does in fact take place. The police issuing some precautionary measures as they brace for a possible uptick in crime at the end of all of the curfews and lockdowns. Residents are being warned not to wear costly jewelry, to minimize cell phone use in public places, to ditch the idea of giving rides to strangers, and to instruct children to return home as early as possible. We talked to Police Staff Association President Inspector Sonny Miller.
Generally speaking, we would hope that it won't happen, but we can suspect that it may. I can tell you, even with the relaxed measures that the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Health put in place, the different phases, I can tell you one of the things one of the things the association endorsed is the fact that this 9 p.m. curfew is still in effect, simply because people are not allowed to go out in the clubs and we hang around buildings and stuff. We, as professionals, we all can look and imagine what will happen if we have 7, 9 people hanging outside a business establishment, 9, 10 o'clock with masks on. We don't have to guess what we think will happen.
Well, still ahead tonight, what will the prom be like this year? You're watching The Bahamas Tonight, first at 6. We're back right after this.
You got to make the best of what you have in front of you. And that's some of our problems. We don't know how to make the best of what we've got. You keep on looking out the window and seeing something better. And you think if you get that, that's what's going to make your, oh Lord, this is what's going to make your life better. But I need to tell you, you need to make the best of who you are.
Join us this and every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. for Faith Touch on ZNS TV 13.
When a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, it is extremely important to be prepared and know just what to do. Stay informed about the storm's path by listening to the radio or television for hurricane progress reports. Check emergency food and household supplies. Be sure you have extra batteries for flashlights and radios. Bring in outdoor items like lawn furniture and garden tools. Anchor objects that cannot be brought inside. Secure buildings by closing and boarding up windows. Remove outside antennas and satellite dishes. Turn refrigerators and freezers to the coldest settings, opening only when absolutely necessary and closing quickly. Purchase ice and store it in an ice chest. Keep drinking water in clean jugs and bottles. Clean your bathtub with bleach and fill it with water for washing and flushing, not for drinking, making sure to keep the bathroom door closed so that small children cannot access the filled tub. Do not go out to videotape or take photos of the storm. Take pictures from inside where it is safe and dry. There is no harm in being overly cautious where a hurricane is concerned. It is truly better to be safe than sorry. This public service announcement has been brought to you by the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas in conjunction with the National Emergency Management Agency.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the Communications Section of the Ministry of Education in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
Parents, school is closed, but your children are not on vacation. As much as possible, spend time reviewing and helping them to organize their virtual lessons. Try to find a structured time each day for study and for recreation. Remember, learning never stops.
This public service announcement was brought to you by the Communications Section of the Ministry of Education in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
While COVID-19 has impacted graduation ceremonies worldwide, on the local scene, the much-anticipated prom has also been put off. Charles Fisher has the story.
There are two things some parents look forward to after putting their child through high school.
I looked forward to my child graduating, that's number one. And then also, you know, all kids look forward to the end of the year where they get to celebrate before they all go off to college and start the new season of their lives.
Nicole Henderson-Smith, consultant and bridal show host, and Makiva Wallace, senior bridal and formal wear specialist, feels for the students. No proms, no photos, no going out in style.
Granted, things have changed for the entire world. And so we wanted to ensure that, like I said, this little piece of their life is not taken away. I remember I had prom in the 90s. I remember, you know, so I understand for the class of 2020 how important it is to just preserve this little bit of their life. And so we wanted to ensure that they have that available to them.
All kids dream of having the prom day where they can dress up, celebrate with their friends, culminate 12 years of going through school. And so for them now to not be able to have that, it's really disappointing to them.
2020 is not over yet, so students, there is a special treat for you.
Where you can be able to either take your graduation photos, we'll have the cap and gown rental for you and everything, and then you can set up, take your photos, you can have your makeup professionally done, and you can do that for both your graduation pictures and your prom photos. Now, as far as your prom photos, you know we provide the clothing, so you can decide whether you want to rent your clothing, whether you want to purchase your clothing, if you want to have it as a keepsake. We'll be able to provide all of that for you. So we want to just take all of that out of your hand.
We wanted to ensure that this is not taken away from them. We wanted to offer them a one-stop place where they can come, get photos, makeup, clothing, and take, you know, that special time. And of course, when the country opens up a little bit more, we will they can go ahead and, you know, have dinners with their friends, just to celebrate this monumental occasion in their life.
I'm Charles Fisher.
Thanks, Charles. Well, stay tuned. Look at weather when we come back.
What I love most about working for the Bahamas tonight is that we don't only focus on New Providence. We cover the entire Bahamas. We have a team here in the Northern Bahamas that is ready to bring you the stories, the people, and the news that matter to you. From point A to Z, from covering hurricanes to elections and everything in between.
public service announcement is brought to you by the Communications section of the Ministry of Education.
The registration of students for admission to public schools continues amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Although the coronavirus has restricted movement and person-to-person contact, the registration process continues online. The Ministry of Education strongly advises parents and guardians to complete the public school's online application form to ensure their child's placement in a public school for the upcoming school year 2020-2021. Please log on to the Ministry's website at www.ministryoфeducationbahamas.com and click on the Student Application Form link. You must complete all parts of the form from A through H fully and accurately, all in one sitting before submitting. This process should take no more than 20 minutes to complete. The form requests general information about the applicant, including data such as previous schooling, National Insurance Board number, medical history, and immunization records. As can be expected, providing the full names of parents, guardians, their nationality, status, workplace, emergency contacts, along with other relevant information will also be required. The deadline has been extended to July 31st. To assist you, we have developed an online tutorial to walk you through the registration process. If you still require help, please contact our help desk at telephone numbers 502-8204, 502-8333, and 502-2779. This online public schools application form will go a long way to ensure a smooth start to the upcoming 2020-2021 academic year. We wish to thank you in advance for your cooperation.
This public service announcement was brought to you by the Communications section of the Ministry of Education in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
Time now for weather.
In our first look at weather, the tropics are very quiet this evening, save for this non-tropical low several hundred miles to the east of Bermuda. It's drifting towards the west and has a very low chance of any kind of development. As a matter of fact, we think it will dissipate by tomorrow afternoon. Across the Bahamas, high pressure is beginning to build, so we'll see an increase in those winds starting tomorrow. And that trophy now remains just across the central Bahamas. That fired up some showers and thunderstorms over parts of the northwest Bahamas earlier this afternoon. Outside of our studios, we have some clouds here, but in the western end of the island, there's some thunderstorm activity taking place there. 84 degrees for your current temperature. Relative humidity, 74%. We have easterly winds to speeds around 8 miles per hour. The barometric pressure, 1,016.3 millibars. That is 30.02 inches, and the pressure is rising. That's going to do it for your first look at weather at 6. Stay tuned. More weather is still to come.
Thanks a lot, Basil. Just before we go, we want to wish one of our loyal viewers, Suzanne Ranger, a very special happy birthday. Your grandson, Xavier, in particular, wants you to know that you should enjoy your day to the fullest. Happy birthday. So that does it for us in the Bahamas Tonight, first at 6. Stay tuned. The Northern Edition is straight ahead.
Coming up in the news tonight, strides being made to advance the communications sector in the country. Tourism partners being trained for the reopening of the country's borders. And COVID-19 causing the postponement of the local government elections. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is
the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping news, the 2020-2021 budget debate continuing in the House of Assembly this morning. Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for West Grand Bahama and Bimini, Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe, delivering her communication, noting that over the past 3 years, major strides have been made to advance the agencies within the communications sector. And this budget year will be no different. Italia Hall has more.
The Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, responsible for communications, and Member of Parliament for West Grand Bahama and Bimini, Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe, expressing her commitment to the areas in her portfolio during her contribution to the budget debate. At Bahamas Information Services, she knows that the agency is transitioning smoothly, using technology to effectively disseminate news and information across the country. Edgecombe also announcing that there's a new manager at the helm at BIS in Freeport. Veteran journalist Simon Lewis has retired, and veteran broadcast journalist Ricardo Lightbourne now holds the top position. As it relates to the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, ZNS, in its 83rd year of operation, the organization was asked to reduce its spending by some 20%, but Edgecombe is asking for some consideration to be given.
We have long-standing legacy debts, Mr. Speaker, that we need to pay off, and we admonish, Mr. Speaker, that consideration be given to assist us in achieving just that. Mr. Speaker, the Northern Service lost its transmitter during the passage of Hurricane Dorian. This loss resulted in 8:10 a.m. being non-operational. However, the transmitter is now on Grand Bahama and anticipated to be fully installed by month's end.
BTC also making progress. The company has started the restoration of mobile services on Grand Key, which suffered significant loss due to Hurricane Dorian. As the island of Grand Bahama continues to recover, a new containerized office has been deployed in East Grand Bahama, which will provide mobile services. But for West Grand Bahama and Bimini, the Member of Parliament says that constituency is faced with many challenges, adding that communities within those districts have been neglected and abandoned for years.
Where is the progress, Mr. Speaker? It cannot be at the 8 Mile Rock High School, where the student population has dwindled drastically. It cannot be at the Louise McDonald High School, where there is a need for an upgrade to its curriculum and facility. It cannot be in the lack of scholarships being offered to deserving students of my constituency. It cannot be in infrastructure where potholes are rampant, seawalls are missing, or roads need paving.
She says more jobs are needed and is calling for 3 major projects to be completed: the administrative complex in 8 Mile Rock, the junior high school in Holmes Rock, and the administrative complex on the island of Bimini.
We ask that our small business sector be afforded grants that were requested to develop the local economies. Mr. Speaker, I am not in this parliament for pretty. I am here, Mr. Speaker, to use my voice and petition this government to invest more in West Grand Bahama and Bimini and my constituents.
The MP says some $500,000 have been allocated to spend within the constituency, but West Grand Bahama and Bimini deserves more than what they have gotten. Nonetheless, she says they are not ungrateful and thanks the Cabinet of the Bahamas for several undertakings.
The long-awaited completion of the bridge of the Fishing Hole Road, the only thoroughfare that connects the West Grand Bahama community to Freeport, is now nearing its official opening. For this, we say thank you. A contract for the repavement of the runway of the Bimini Airport, amounting to some $6,211,285.79, has been signed and awarded to Knowles Construction and Development Company. Work is anticipated to start very soon. For this, we say thank you.
It's Halia Hall, ZNS Network News.
The Ministry of Tourism preparing for the reopening of the country to the international community on July 1st. The ministry hosting a tourism business compliance training session over the past 2 days for industry partners on the island. Officials facilitated the training in order to educate tourism professionals on new and existing protocols, including measures to ensure health and safety, proper waste management, social distancing, hygienic practices, and customer service. General Manager of the Grand Bahama Tourism Office, Stephen Johnson, noting that the 2-day training sessions were extremely successful in an effort to spread the message of new and existing health and safety protocols for those involved in the tourism industry. Thousands of residents participated at 3 locations and via online platforms in order to observe social distancing measures. Johnson says that a number of presenters shared valuable information.
The training has just been fantastic. We've had thousands online yesterday. We have 3 locations where people can come physically in the morning and in the evening, and they're all being filled up. We have doctors, we have persons from environmental health, we have our Ministry of Tourism personnel who are even talking about questions to address if they're approached by tourists. People they're not here to hear about COVID. But, obviously with our cab drivers, we want them to basically talk about the beauty of the Bahamas and Grand Bahama and the things we have to offer here and not focus so much on the COVID-19 question. And so this training basically is geared towards putting everybody in check for the new reality. And I believe Grand Bahama is ready to move forward. And this is what we're doing today, is make sure everybody's on track.
Johnson says that based on feedback, international bookings are already looking promising.
The Director General has informed us that in looking back at persons that are looking to book the Bahamas is very positive, that these people want to come to the Bahamas. One of the number 1 reasons for them coming into the Bahamas is for beach. And so there seem to be no concerns so far about, they know that the Bahamas has very low COVID rates. And in talking with some of the travel agents in Canada and the U.S., they are excited to come here to visit Grand Bahama and to visit the Bahamas in general. Obviously, they feel very comfortable with the Bahamas, and that's a sure sign we have to represent when they get here.
Now, during this pandemic, many Bahamians have questioned the country's dependency on the tourism sector. Johnson says he believes that this island will indeed rebound and that tourism is here to stay.
We are resilient. We saw from the other monster that came here several months ago to where we are right now with COVID-19. And we already see the positive numbers coming, as the Director General shared with us. And this is what we do. And so we've got to show the world how we're going to represent and how we're going to get back on top in the Caribbean again. So this is our baby, and we will, to make sure that Grand Bahama is on top, make sure that everybody's ready. And we will do the kind of things we need here, as far as our festivals will come back here. But we need people walking around again and basically seeing Grand Bahama in their own special way.
Now, based on the overwhelming feedback, Johnson says that he believes they will host more seminars next week. Now, food vendor at the harbor, Vernique Smith, took part in the training seminar. She says it was very informative, and it was also a refresher course for the sanitization practices already in place at her restaurant.
To take away, I started to take some voice notes, because there's sometimes that you've missed something, but you can go over it and refresh yourselves again. And being a food vendor, and I have persons that work with me, we need to make sure that everyone gets the information. We even went down to discussing putting in some of the shields, to protect both parties, the purchaser and the person serving. And definitely it's going to be a lot more hand sanitizers, but that was always a practice for me. And there's going to be a lot more gloves, which has always been a practice for me. And one of the new norms for us is going to be this mask in our great Bahamian sun.
Vice President of the Port Lucaya Marketplace Vendors Association, Ina Cooper, noting that she enjoys interacting with the customers and admits that the new social distancing measures will be hard to get accustomed to.
It has a lot that we need to implement. You know, Bahamians are famous for hugging and reaching out, and now that is going to be difficult because of the COVID-19. The guidelines that was implemented, it's going to take time getting used to, but by the grace of God, we'll make it.
Now in news from the courts, a second person arraigned before the magistrate court for a double homicide that occurred in February of 2017 at a popular night spot. Shoshina Rowe-Farquharson has the details.
22-year-old Caius Alfonso Duncombe of Baileytown, Bimini, arraigned before Magistrate Charlton Smith in Magistrate Court Number 2 on 2 counts of murder that happened back in February 1st, 2017. You may recall, police were called to the scene outside of Game Time Bar and Lounge around 1 a.m. that morning after receiving reports of gunshots being fired in the area. Reports say on arrival, police met 2 young men suffering from apparent gunshot wounds. EMS personnel were called to the scene. However, one of the victims died on the scene and the other was transported to the hospital where he later died. The 2 young men from Hunters were later identified as Stefan LaFrance, 24, and Joseph Bean Jr., a father of 4, both employed at Roofing Expert. LaFrance was shot in the head and, according to reports, Bain in the chest. The deaths were classified as the island's first and second homicides for 2017. Caius Alfonso Duncombe is now the second person arraigned for the deaths of these 2 men. 33-year-old Terrence Roll, a South Bimini resident, was also formally charged before the magistrate's court back in 2019. Meantime, Duncombe was not required to enter a plea, and the matter was adjourned to July 6, 2020 for trial. He was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services. Shoshina Rowe-Farquharson, ZNS Network News.
Meantime, local government elections, which were slated to be held at the end of this month, have had to be postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Chief councilors for the various districts all agree that the decision is in the best interest of all involved. Chief Councilor for East Grand Bahama, Donovan Bowe, says it will allow the various councils to complete initiatives implemented prior to the lockdown.
The announcement of the postponement of local government elections, I believe, is a great decision, and it works in the interest of residents who deserve the opportunity to elect the candidates that they wish in the upcoming local government cycle. I'm confident that when the elections are held, residents in the various districts would turn out and support the candidates of their choice.
Now, elections will be held within 3 months following the end of the emergency powers orders. Chief Councilor for the City of Freeport, Kendall Culmer, and Councilor for West Grand Bahama, Kevin Morris, are welcoming the postponement.
Persons who are looking to run in upcoming elections now have more time to basically get on the ground, campaign more, strategize, and use this time wisely to get to know their community as best as possible. With the COVID-19 situation now coming to what seems to be the flattening of the curve, we must continue our social distancing, and because of that, I feel as if that is the best thing right now, and all we have to do is prepare for what is ahead of us.
Last month, the competent authority amended the emergency orders to extend the term of elected practitioners until a writ is issued for the next local government election. At the beginning of this pandemic, we saw where many events was postponed or even canceled worldwide and nationally, and the local government election is no exception. I want to take this opportunity to express thanks to all practitioners in the Bahamas, but especially those in West Grand Bahama who would have served unselfishly over the past 3 years. I also want to make an appeal for community-minded persons to offer themselves as a candidate whenever the next election is called.
And a special donation for the elderly. That story straight ahead.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Dolly Madison, Freeport's original home center.
Dolly Madison Home Center is now open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to serve your household needs. Ace Hardware, Whirlpool and GE Appliances, and more. Be sure to ask an associate for assistance if you don't see what you came for. Social distancing and masks are in full effect. And the good news is we will be moving to the former rooms to go in the front of the store as renovations are completed. Join us Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Come on down now.
Congratulations to our beautiful daughter, Kiari Elizabeth Cooper, 2020 graduation class at Tabernacle Baptist, from your proud parents, Pastor Naphtali and Sarah Cooper, brother Rashe and niece Kimeyer, and the Lord's House family.
We're so proud of you. The best is yet to come.
This is a different kind of love.
We cannot sit next to our peers, our house family, and friends embrace this moment. In this rapidly changing world,
We stayed focused.
we compete together, we celebrate together.
We are warriors.
Congratulations to 2020 graduate Cody Forbes of Bishop Michael Eldon High School. From Quinn and Quentin LaRota. Also Ashley and Keisha Forbes.
Your #1 news team covering the North. The Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Welcome back. The Knights of Columbus continuing the mission of service to the family. Recently, the group attached to the Catholic Church making significant donations to better the lives of the elderly and disabled. Jay Philippe has that story.
The Knights of Columbus, a global Catholic fraternal service, donating 20 new wheelchairs to the Rand Memorial Hospital. This donation comes at the time when the island's premier healthcare facility is in need of medical and other supplies after being dealt a heavy blow by Hurricane Dorian 9 months ago. Arnold Neely, district deputy of the group, says the donation is just one way of displaying their faith in action as they seek to serve and protect families.
The hospital providing the type of service that it does will need these chairs in the hospital itself or some of the clinics where they need to provide mobility for patients. So this is the first shipment. I don't know when we will get another one, but we do expect to have more chairs coming in the future.
Neely says the group is dedicated to helping the community.
We are an active community. We are a Catholic men's organization affiliated with all of the Catholic churches on Grand Bahama. And, we work along with our pastors who are closer to identifying the needs of each member. And we provide the assistance that we could when we can.
Sharon Williams, administrator of the Rand Memorial Hospital, was on hand to receive the wheelchairs. She says the chairs will not only be used by patients at the hospital, but will also aid those who may need a wheelchair at their residence.
In lots of instances, we have patients coming to our facility not only to use those wheelchairs within the facility itself, but they have a need sometime personally, and we are able to assist them on behalf of other organizations within the community because, of course, we know who these persons are that really need access to the wheelchairs. So we thank them on behalf of our community and definitely on behalf
behalf of our healthcare organization.
The service-based Catholic Men's Group also donated some wheelchairs to the Home Away from Home assisted living facility in Carvel Beach. They donated some 8 wheelchairs in honor of Kevin Taylor, who recently passed away. Kirk Cooper.
One of those will be in honor of Kevin Taylor. Kevin Taylor is a friend of mine who passed away recently, and he was also a resident there. And I was able to work with him, to try to motivate him and to, just befriend him. But he passed away at a very young age, and he was a skilled electrician. And I guess in the family's honor and in his honor, we will also be dedicating one of the wheelchairs to Kevin Taylor.
I'm Jay Philippe, ZNS Network News.
Grand Bahama's premier healthcare facility on the receiving end this week as a local pastor and a team of international partners providing some important medical equipment for those on the front line of the fight against COVID-19. Here is Jay Philippe once again.
The Ebenezer Foundation has been a staple in the Grand Bahama community for over the past 20 years and has assisted families with food and hurricane relief items. President Barry Morris, along with some partners, making another donation, this time more than $25,000 worth of medical equipment to the Rand Memorial Hospital.
We want to donate to the Rand Memorial Hospital some $25,000 worth of medical supplies. And we will be doing the same into New Providence in a number of weeks. Of course, this here is also a Bahamian-led company. Beyond making donations, this company would also has under its belt a number of items that we want to engage the medical community in being supplied with these goods.
Noting the challenges the hospital has had to endure from severe damage as a result of Hurricane Dorian to recent issues as a result of a freak weather system, Morris says they felt compelled to help.
It's my conviction that I have to take care of Grand Bahama and make sure that Grand Bahama is fitted with what it has or what it needs, and then I can move on to other things. And likewise, the Bahamas, we are offering the Bahamas a price on medical equipment that basically nobody else is offering at the prices that we can offer.
Among the items donated, personal protective equipment kits, bedpans, and medical tubing.
It gives an opportunity for me to express thanks to Mr. Kenny Cadmus, who is the president of Fight Rights, and Mr. Dale Rojas, who is the president of Global United. I am, of course, the president of the Ebenezer Foundation, and we have come together to impact the Bahamas in terms of the area of medical supplies. And we form this alliance that we can be of help to the Bahamas and the Caribbean. But it is just that me being a part of it, I thought it best to impact the Bahamas first, to give us a first go at it, because this is my homeland, this is my country, this is where I live, and this is what I love. And we are privileged to be a part of this donation and to be of impact to the community of Grand Bahama.
Now, if you need medical equipment, you can contact the foundation by emailing EbenezerFoundation242@gmail.com. I'm Jay Philippe, ZNS Network News.
You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Don't go away.
The Hardware Center, located on the Fishing Hole Road, presents their 2020 Hurricane Preparedness Checklist. Tip 5, groundwork.
Look, it's simple. Fidelity can consolidate all your bills for their debt consolidation loan. Give you one monthly payment and money in your pocket.
So let me get this straight, Miss Financial Coach. You say something about cash in my pocket?
Yes.
And a savings plan with 5% interest? Wow. Finally, a bank that's looking out for me. What you want me to sign?
That's not all. We also offer competitive interest rates and free financial coaching.
That's right, LD. You ain't hear me. Where do I sign?
Congratulations to 2020 graduate Jaya Culmer. Sending you lots of love and best wishes from your mom, Deidre, Nad, Malia, and the entire family.
September 1st, 2019 is a day that has etched itself into Bahamian history.
This storm was different.
I thought I would have been safe.
This is all the people know, so to speak, as it relates to Pelican Point.
So I made them go, I tell them to go and get the kids, you see? But they never returned.
I'm still waiting for my children to come. I never, in my wildest dream, never thought.
When the current took me into the tree, I was able to hop up into the tree, and that's where I spent my hurricane from 2 till 6 in the morning.
A big stone house, wipe off the foundation.
Hell had to pass dry rock. This is East End after Dorian.
Team covering the North. The Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
And that's going to do it for us here in the North, but be sure to stay tuned as the Bahamas Tonight continues. On behalf of the entire news team here in the North, I'm Megan Shepard. Have a safe and wonderful evening.
Over 25 years ago, I started a food distribution company from the back trunk of my car, selling only 6 food items. Today, Jamaica Bahama Imports distributes over 100 food products throughout the country. Now, this could only happen because of the loyalty and support of you, our loyal customers. And so, on behalf of all of us at Jamaica Bahama Imports, we wish to say, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bahamas.
When a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, it is extremely important to be prepared and know just what to do. Stay informed about the storm's path by listening to the radio or television for hurricane progress reports. Check emergency food and household supplies. Be sure you have extra batteries for flashlights and radios. Bring in outdoor items like lawn furniture and garden tools. Anchor objects that cannot be brought inside. Secure buildings by closing and boarding up windows. Remove outside antennas and satellite dishes. Turn refrigerators and freezers to the coldest settings, opening only when absolutely necessary and closing quickly. Purchase ice and store it in an ice chest. Keep drinking water in clean jugs and bottles. Clean your bathtub with bleach and fill it with water for washing and flushing, not for drinking, making sure to keep the bathroom door closed so that small children cannot access the filled tub. Do not go out to videotape or take photos of the storm. Take pictures from inside where it is safe and dry. There is no harm in being overly cautious where a hurricane is concerned. It is truly better to be safe than sorry. This public service announcement has been brought to you by the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas in conjunction with the National Emergency Management Agency.
watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
If we do not invest and we do not support families and we do not support business entities and jobs, then we're going to have a very much more difficult time.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, the National Report. The Deputy Prime Minister defending government debt. Ahead tonight, his explanation amidst criticism over how effective it will be.
We strongly appeal for the 3 major projects.
West End and Bimini's MP agitating for the Grand Bahama revival. Why Columbus has become the subject of protest again. And Donna Fasilli could be back in court soon. The latest Privy Council decision and how it will affect her case. The Bahamas tonight, the National Report starts now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Keishla Adderley, and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Thanks so much for joining us. Topping the news this evening, a major boost in the Ministry of Social Services budget allocation for the new fiscal year will address challenges which date back to Hurricane Dorian. Minister of Social Services and Urban Development, the Honorable Frankie Campbell, said in his budget contribution today that his ministry remains committed to delivering assistance to the most vulnerable with the new $60 million allocation. Here's Jimenita Swain.
Last year, September's Hurricane Dorian and the global COVID-19 pandemic has left a significant financial impact on the country. Minister of Social Services and Urban Development, the Honorable Frankie Campbell, in his contribution to the 2020-2021 budget debate in the House of Assembly, indicated that the 2020-2021 budget commits to supporting the Bahamian people in these extraordinary times. He noted that government has allocated $86 million with direct support and nearly $60 million for social services assistance directly related to COVID-19.
This expands the social safety net by some $140 million in the wake of COVID-19. An unprecedented measure for an unprecedented time.
Minister Campbell said an additional $10 million was provided for Hurricane Dorian assistance. The minister recapped that the budget allocation for 2019-2020 was about $39 million, of which $33 million has funded expenses. He notes the remaining amount is earmarked for outstanding debt. Food assistance was increased from $50 to $100. Rental assistance to Hurricane Dorian victims also moved from $1,200 a year to $700 for the first 3 months.
Food assistance to 4,153 persons, which amount to $551,949. Rent assistance was granted to 489 persons, which amount to the payment totaling $1,464,529. Uniform assistance to 412 persons for $107,000. Burial assistance in the amount of $27,000. And financial assistance to 71 persons, totaling $86,939.70.
Another element he touched on was the National Food Distribution Task Force that comprises 9 zones to feed the country.
The government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, through the Department of Social Services, distributing the funds as directed by the Feeding Task Force, the National Feeding Task Force, to ensure that their projections are met. And they project that they will feed 80,000 persons for a 12-week period.
Overall, the minister said he's thankful to see a reduction in persons still residing in those shelters. Jimenita Swain, ZNS Network News.
Meantime, Minister of Finance and Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Peter Turnquest, detailing the actual government debt figures despite some numbers which have gone viral. The Finance Minister says Bahamians should be able to trust that the numbers their political leaders are discussing are accurate representations of the country's fiscal position. Altavis Munnings has details.
It's a meme illustrating government debt figures, what financial officials describe as fake news, that went viral on social media and prompted Minister of Finance, Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Peter Turnquest, to explain the real figures.
Under the former administration, they borrowed somewhere around $1.2 billion over their first 2 years, whereas we borrowed $977 million in net borrowing. That means that the total amount borrowed less loans that were being refinanced, meaning repayment of existing loans, equals the new debt or net borrowing. And that is the comparison that the true comparison, if you want to use that as a measuring stick between administrations.
Minister Turnquest maintains, though, that the premise is not which administration borrowed more or less, but is using government revenue and borrowed funds in an effective and responsible way to invest in Bahamian families, communities, businesses, and the nation as a whole. Finance officials credit the wealth of information published about government debt activity on the country's budget website, www.bahamasbudget.gov.bs, to raising the fiscal transparency bar, as Minister Turnquest underscored that accurate financial reporting is important to the government.
We are managing our fiscal situation, that we have been on a path towards fiscal consolidation prior to these two catastrophic events. These crises have resulted in us having to expand the deficit, hence the borrowing, to ensure that we take care of people and that we invest in the economy such that it is able to survive during this crisis and be at a position where it is able to take off from a stable foundation once the recovery begins. Because obviously, if we do not invest and we do not support families and we do not support business entities and jobs, then we're going to have a very much more difficult time, and it's going to take that much longer for us to feel the recovery here in the Bahamas.
Government will report debt activity for the current fiscal year during the Ministry of Finance's fourth quarter report that will be published by August 31st. Altavis Munnings, ZNS Network News.
Member of Parliament for St. Anne's, Brent Simonet, also reacting to government debt and the budget contribution given yesterday. Here's what he had to say.
But when you ask where the money gone, $240 or $260 odd million that increased VAT went to reduce the national debt and hence reduce the payments of interest on the national debt and hence make it better in the Bahamas for every Bahamian. That's where the money went.
Meantime, an impassioned plea from the Member of Parliament for West End and Bimini to do more and be kinder to her twin constituencies. Mukush Lapinder has that story coming out of the budget debate in Parliament.
Grand Bahama is not without its challenges, and it's been that way now for years. From the economic devastation wrought by twin storms Francis and Jean in 2004 to the deathly blow of 2019's Hurricane Dorian to now the health and economic setback of the COVID-19 pandemic. Little wonder why West Grand Bahama and Bimini MP Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe's petitioning the government to invest more in the twin constituencies.
Here's the current reality of West Grand Bahama and Bimini, Mr. Speaker. More jobs are desperately needed. We strongly appeal for the three major projects: the administrative complex in Pinedale, 8 Mile Rock, the junior high school in Holmes Rock, the administrative complex in Bimini to be completed. We petition for seawalls to be constructed to protect constituents in times of storms. We admonish for roads to be paved to improve commuting. We ask that our small business sector be afforded grants that were requested to develop the local economies.
And while her constituents, she says, have been able to rise to the occasion time and time again, help is needed.
In the 5 years I have as the Member of Parliament for West Grand Bahama and Bimini, there's $500,000 allocated to our office to spend in my constituency. Of that $500,000, $100,000 is given annually. Of that $100,000, $25,000 is given 4 times a year. Simply put, Mr. Speaker, our office has $25 to spend 4 times a year. $25,000 in 14 polling divisions across 2 separate islands with a population of more than 8,000 people.
Yes, times are tough, but at the end of the day, Parker Edgecombe says they deserve more than they have gotten, as there is a major disparity in what is received area to area. For the ZNS News Network, I'm Akash Lopinder.
Well, like most government agencies, the Broadcasting Corporation will have to make do with less this upcoming fiscal year. This in light of the request of the government for those corporations and companies to reduce spending by 20%. Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe, hoping to get a few initiatives pushed through nonetheless.
We find it necessary to complete the radio building roof at headquarters off of Collins Avenue. This project comes in at a total of $214,000. Further, Mr. Speaker, we have long-standing legacy debts, Mr. Speaker, that we need to pay off. And we admonish, Mr. Speaker, that consideration be given to assist us in achieving just that.
Now, Parker Edgecombe also gave a progress report on the Bahamas Telecommunication Company's effort to restore its infrastructure in Abaco and Grand Bahama in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian.
BTC technicians have begun the process of building a new fiber backbone in Abaco to ensure greater network resiliency. Additionally, they've also begun building a redundant subsea fiber between the keys in Abaco, Green Turtle Key, Manoa Key, Guana Key, and Elbow Key. Mr. Speaker, furthermore, BTC has also started Grand Key's restoration of microwave link and mobile services, which previously provided free Wi-Fi to all residents of Grand Key. And prior to the COVID-19 lockdown, internet capacity was upgraded to 10G. As the island of Grand Bahama continues to rebuild, Mr. Speaker, I am happy to report that in its hardest hit area, East Grand Bahama, a new containerized central office with solar powering to maintain mobile service has been deployed.
Timely online application submissions and effective document collection, just some of the programs improved at the Passport Office. Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Darren Henfield.
The Passport Office has made an admirable progress during 2019, particularly in the area of public relations. This is evident from the much improved missives of approbation the institution receives now on a daily basis. You know, they ain't robbing us no more as they used to. On a daily basis now, we get you know, encouraging and kind words about good service. Much effort has been made to familiarize the public with the new Qmatic system, which lends to an easier, safe, Qmatic system is online, which lends to an easier, safe, and fast and secure online application process. Indeed, historic and
Member of Parliament for Michael and Chairman of the Education Loan Authority, Miriam Emanuel, meantime, outlining improvements in student loan repayment. She said despite a high default rate, the outstanding balance is going down.
As of December 2019, 620 borrowers paid off their loan through the incentive program with a collection of $3,223,348. The government of the Bahamas guarantees the payment of the authorities' bond and interest payment. We are pleased that we were able to meet the interest payment of August 2019 and February 2020, which totaled $2,955,801.
Member of Parliament for Mangrove Key and South Andros Picewell Forbes was critical of the government's borrowing during his contribution to the budget debate, noting that having borrowed more than $3 million in 3 years, the government is poised for record borrowing. He also addressed the impact of the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture's budget cut.
I can assure you that the persons in the family are going to feel the first brunt of that cut. What about the children? That is the question, Exuma. I had it right here. What about the children? And so we need to have the development and the improvement for our young people. After school program at Queen's Park and Prescott based for the Cecil Penn. At the Central Andros High School, completing that track that Basil O'Neill started over 10 years ago at the Central Andros High School. Improving the facilities for baseball with the Freedom Farm and Greg Burrows and his fine organization in South Andros. Governance is continuous.
Well, still to come, the Salvation Army accepting a huge donation in the fight against COVID-19. And here the latest on a petition to remove the statue of Christopher Columbus. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report.
This portion of the news was brought to you by Sunoil Limited Shell, fueling journeys that matter.
Every dream needs a gentle push. Every tomorrow needs a warm embrace. Every ambition needs hope to take flight and the faith to pursue a unique goal. At Commonwealth Bank, we make it happen for you. Today, tomorrow, and into the future. Commonwealth Bank. Everything we do it for you.
BTC has doubled your mobile data to keep you connected. Our prepaid mobile customers will now receive double data when they activate a 7, 10, or 30-day plan. Our postpaid and B2B customers will also receive double data across all postpaid plans to surf, share, connect with friends, family, and the office. Stay safe and connected with BTC.
Making the world's most tender, juicy fried chicken requires the highest quality ingredients. Our team of cooks start with KFC's secret recipe of 11 herbs and spices and fresh chicken every day. Hand-breaded and cooked to golden perfection, ensuring that KFC's chicken is hot and crispy every time.
KFC delivery is available through the Craven app or visit your nearest KFC location for drive-thru or carry-out.
KFC Nassau.
This portion of the news was brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
The Prime Minister has updated the Emergency Powers COVID-19 No. 4 Amendment No. 2 order. Effective today, June 10th, any school where a national examination is being hosted can open to make the necessary preparation, provided that all persons wear masks and physical distancing protocols are adhered to. However, all schools nationwide remain closed but can still operate virtually. Preschools and infant daycare centers can open on islands with approved commercial activity. Employees must wear masks, sanitize premises, and adhere to the Ministry of Education's guidelines and notices. Outdoor dining can be offered at all restaurants, including Arawak Quay and Potters Quay docks, starting this Friday, June 12th. On Monday, June 15th, hair salons and barber shops can open between 5 a.m. and 7 p.m., subject to Ministry of Health approval. However, the order states that bars, discos, gyms, spas, cinemas, cultural and educational facilities will remain closed. As domestic travel has been approved, passengers must wear face masks, and airline operators can deny boarding to any passenger not wearing a mask. Meantime, the order states every person returning to the Bahamas shall be subject to monitoring by the Ministry of Health. All beaches can open across the country except for on the islands of New Providence, Paradise Island, Grand Bahama, and Bimini. Well, no confirmed COVID-19 cases to report today. The only change in today's COVID-19 dashboard, the number of total tests completed, which now stands at 2,237. There remains 103 confirmed cases, 67 recoveries, 25 active cases, and 1 hospitalization on record. The number of deaths remains at 11. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has confirmed that 19 Bahamians and nationals who were stranded in Cuba returned home today. The ministry also announced that 50 Bahamians stranded in the United Kingdom and other parts of Europe will return home tomorrow on a British Airways charter organized by the Cayman Islands government. A Foreign Affairs release stated the flight will leave London for the Cayman Islands, then head to the Turks and Caicos Islands. A Bahamas Air flight will then fly those Bahamians here to New Providence. Foreign Affairs officials thanked the British High Commissioner, Her Excellency Sarah Dickinson, for assisting with the flight. When Foreign Affairs officials informed her that British Airways was coming so close to the Bahamas, they negotiated the arrangement for reserving 50 seats for Bahamian nationals and residents. The Bahamas High Commission in London quickly notified Bahamian citizens and residents in the UK and Western Europe who had registered to return to the Bahamas and were able to fill those seats. Well, no official word yet on when those 8 Haitian nationals will face a magistrate in connection with the disturbance at the Carmichael Road Detention Center last week. Immigration officials indicated in a statement that the detainees refused to eat, demanding to know when they would be afforded a flight back to Port-au-Prince. The immigration statement also said not all of the Haitians agreed to the hunger strike which led to the altercation. Minister of Immigration, the Honorable Ellsworth Johnson, gave this update.
We're in the process of facilitating those persons and their safe return to the Republic of Haiti. There are a number of other persons from different jurisdictions, and we're in the process of doing that. As you very well know, we've been in a lockdown. Other countries have been in lockdowns, sheltering in. And so diplomatically, we're working to have that done as soon as possible. Some jurisdictions haven't opened their borders as yet. And you would have seen where the competent authority would have extended by way of an order, automatically extended annual residencies, work permits for persons who find themselves within the jurisdiction.
Meantime, the Department of Immigration partnering with Bahamian-owned company Sunrise Communications Limited to introduce a new state-of-the-art facial recognition thermometer camera to assist with the early detection of COVID-19 symptoms and other seasonal viruses at the department's head office. All persons will have their temperatures taken. They'll also have photos taken for record-keeping purposes and for future contact tracing. Director of Immigration Clarence Russell.
With the government's decision that we will reopen shortly, and the fact that we cannot, as an essential service, just shut our doors, we have had to take the necessary measures to make certain that any and everyone who comes into our presence, obviously, is sterile in the interest of all concerned.
Salvation Army has partnered with Caribbean Bottling Company to ensure frontline workers are protected. The organization donated 10,000 medical-grade KN95 masks to the Public Hospitals Authority today. Officials from both organizations hope that the donation can significantly assist in treating those with the deadly virus.
10,000 masks, but it's almost $40,000 worth of masks. When you think about the cost that it is, it's a very large donation financially to make this happen. And we do very much appreciate the efforts of Coca-Cola.
The donation actually came from the Coca-Cola Foundation, and so we'd like to say thank you to them for their philanthropy. And we are happy to provide something that is so necessary with for our frontline workers at this time. As stated, this is crucial to ensure that the transmission of COVID-19 is kept to a minimum. And so we're happy to help those who need the assistance right now.
Public Hospitals Authority officials are grateful for the donation, noting that personal protective equipment remains in high demand.
This contribution, trust me, it's really very timely because, like you said, the burn rate is very rapid. Every patient that we deal with, we have to use different masks. Every patient that comes into the emergency room now have to be treated as COVID. And so because of that, these will go a long way in helping us do what we need to do. Our frontline workers will thank you on behalf of them all.
And I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to not only the Salvation Army and Coca-Cola, but to all of the other corporate and the community citizens who have just been so generous in providing donations and other support to the PHA and our frontline staff in this fight against the COVID-19.
Bahamas Power and Light Company confirming that around 3 o'clock this afternoon, a cable fault occurred at its Soldier Road substation, which led to the loss of service along the entire Wolf Road corridor. Power was restored around 4:13, except for Williams Lane and surrounding areas. BPL defined a cable fault as the insulation of a power cable deteriorating enough that it's no longer able to contain the voltage, causing a shortage. An investigation is underway. More than 8,000 Bahamians have already signed a petition by change.org for the removal of the historic Christopher Columbus statue from the steps of Government House. Bahamian history records the Italian explorer discovered the Bahamas on October 12, 1492. Online history accounts that Columbus used torture and mutilation to govern some of the other Caribbean islands he had oversight of. The focus on removing the statue comes after mass protests and similar exercises have been carried out around the world in the past week. Here at home, a group of young Bahamians have organized the petition to present to the government by a member of the parliamentary opposition team at the end of 2020-2021 budget debate. Spokesperson for Change.org, Latrey Ramming, who told reporters at a press conference today that his group already has a plan in place if their response is not accepted by the government.
Unsuccessful, we would have done one thing, at least have a conversation as to who we are and where we are. So this petition has sparked a vigorous debate as to who we are, and it also shed light on the history of Christopher Columbus. So if we aren't successful, which we intend to be successful, we would have at least educated the Bahamian people on the crimes of Columbus.
Well, we contacted board member of the Antiquities, Monuments and Museums Corporation and historian Dr. Gail Saunders for a response on the petition to remove the Columbus statue. She said she has mixed feelings about the petition, as Christopher Columbus is an important person in Bahamian history that she says can't be undone.
This portion of the news was brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
This is your Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Jimenita Swain. Bahamas Petroleum Company, or BPC, that scheduled its oil exploration activities here in the Bahamas to later this year, has attained a new license. The company revealed yesterday that it has been awarded the Area of 1 petroleum license offshore Uruguay, following efforts to expand its portfolio option. The oil and gas exploration company said the license contains a management estimated resource potential of up to 1 billion barrels of oil, equivalent with significant running room. The license also has has an initial 4-year exploration period, during which time BPC will reprocess around 2,000 kilometers of legacy 2D seismic and undertake a number of new geotechnical studies. In other business news, the Bahamas getting a much-needed boost to assist it through the economic straits due to COVID-19. Transport Minister the Honorable Renwood Wells revealed in his budget contribution that to assist this nation through the COVID-19 crisis, the Board of the Bahamas Maritime Authority has agreed to release through the Treasury $4 million on Tuesday. An additional $3 million over the fiscal year 2020-2021 will be released in installments of $250,000 a month. And in international business news, the third quarter of the year will level a sound blow against the revenue of global coffee giant Starbucks as it loses more than $3 billion in revenue due to the coronavirus. The company expects business to rebound through the remainder of the year. Starbucks President and CEO Kevin Johnson said in a letter that Starbucks brand is resilient and it believes the most difficult period is behind it. Officials of the Seattle-based company said in a regulatory filing today that the virus outbreak will also slash its operating income between $2 to $2.2 billion for the quarter, which ends June 28th. That was the Royal Fidelity Business News. I'm Jimenita Swain.
Is on until the country is officially open for business. The Tourism Today team caught up with the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Dionisio de Aguilar, for updates on the tourism sector.
So the tourism industry, the Ministry of Tourism, our stakeholders, hotel operators, restaurants, excursion providers, airlines, we've all been working extremely hard to put in place the necessary protocols to ensure, first and foremost, that when foreign visitors come to this country, they don't make us sick, and we don't make them sick when they come here. So very close collaboration also with the Ministry of Health, trying to establish the protocols that will lay out specifically what foreign visitors will have to do in order to enter the country. We've contemplated testing. That seems a bit onerous and cumbersome. There's a lot of pushback from the airlines. There's a belief that if we insist on testing, that the foreign visitors won't come. So we're looking at what we can do to give us a sufficient comfort level that after they've completed the screening process, then we are comfortable for them to enter the jurisdiction. So we're very excited. I mean, obviously the tourism industry has been at a dead stop for the last 3 months. So we are very excited to restart the tourism industry, get the foreign visitors coming here, getting people back to work, getting foreign currency back into the country so that we can restart our economy and return to some sense of normalcy, although we all know it's a new normal.
When asked about the marketing strategy to entice tourists back to the country, the minister gave this preview.
Our initial marketing while we've been in the shutdown phase has been very light. Mostly inexpensive social media, just trying to keep the Bahamas top of mind. If you, having been in quarantine, lockdown, curfew, wherever you live for the last 3 months, we want you to be dreaming of that wonderful, beautiful vacation in the Bahamas. So once we begin to open, or once the date is set for sure and the airlines put their flights in place, we will ramp up the marketing plan, relaunch our advertising with Lenny Kravitz, and really starting to get in front of the customers, those that are interested in traveling to the Bahamas.
Visit us on tourismtoday.com for more updates on the reopening and COVID safety procedures. I'm Mercedes Demerit, and this is Tourism Today.
Listen, when you're getting some gas at the gas station, when you're shopping at your favorite grocery store, how you know you're getting exactly what it is that you pay for. BBSQ, the Bahamas Bureau of Standards and Quality. Now, they got a team of professionals trained and working all the time to ensure quality and safety of goods and services. They are doing something called metrology.
Metrology works to protect consumers from receiving inaccurate quantities of goods purchased and measured, and to protect sellers from delivering excess amounts of goods due to the use of inaccurate measuring instruments.
They have equipment to go in the stores and gas stations all over the Bahamas.
What do we use to verify the accuracy of volume at your favorite gas station, you may ask? A test measure. This is a volumetric standard used to verify gas, diesel, and other liquid dispensing devices.
They use the weight to ensure the scale is reading properly.
Now, when it comes to grocery stores, we use these mass standards. These are specialized equipment used to verify that instruments like weighing scales are accurate.
BBSQ is making sure the consumers are getting their money's worth and that the businesses are getting treated fairly. Because of the work BBSQ does behind the scenes and in the field, quality is a guarantee.
This portion of the news brought to you by Generali Insurance.
The number of COVID-19 cases worldwide continuing to grow. Today, more than 127,000 cases were recorded, pushing the total count to 7.4 million. 964 new deaths recorded in the U.S. today as that country's COVID-19 cases continue to climb, with a little over 2 million positive COVID-19 cases altogether. More than 30,000 new COVID-19 cases recorded in Brazil, more than 12,000 in India, and more than 5,000 cases in Peru. In the region, just under 400 new COVID-19 cases recorded in the Dominican Republic today. That country's total now at more than 20,000. Haiti is considered the region's COVID-19 hotspot, with 124 new cases there today, with more than 3,600 total cases. 6 new cases, meantime, were recorded in Cuba and Jamaica, and 4 new cases in Barbados. Well, a new murder trial could be in the works for convicted murderer Donna Vasili. A jury convicted the Australian native of the 2013 stabbing death of her husband, noted podiatrist Philip Vasili, at their old Fort Bay home. In November of 2015, Vasili was sentenced to 20 years in prison. But 2 years later, the Court of Appeal overturned Vasili's conviction and sentence, and 2 of the appellate court judges decided that Vasili should be retried. However, one member of the panel decided that a retrial was not in the best interest of justice. That did not sit well with Vasili, who took her fight to the London-based Privy Council, which determined that she did have a case to answer for murder. The High Court then sent the matter back to the Court of Appeal to decide whether or not Vasili should be retried. Now the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions is taking steps to ensure that Vasili's retrial does take place. The Royal Bahamas Police Force issuing some precautionary measures ahead of months of lockdown, which is getting ready to come to an end. They include discouraging the wearing of expensive jewelry, minimizing cell phone use in the public, ditching the idea of giving rides to strangers, instructing children to return home as early as possible, and carrying limited funds and maintaining a safe distance from other members of the public. Police Staff Association President, Inspector Sonny Miller.
Always be mindful of your surroundings. Be actually to secure your vehicles when getting out of them. In particular, if you're going home late at night and you have to go in certain areas, we ask that you pay specific attention to it. Additionally, we ask the members of the public to bear with us. If you see or hear anything suspicious, feel free to call us. We're available. That's our job. We're not doing you any favor. You are the ones who basically pays our salary and allow us to do it.
Now the warnings come as police brace themselves for an uptick in crime after a decrease during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Generally speaking, we would hope that it won't happen, but we can suspect that it may. I can tell you, even with the relaxed measures that the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Health put in place, the different phases, I can tell you one of the things one of the things the association endorsed is the fact that this 9 p.m. curfew is still in effect, simply because people are not allowed to go out in the clubs and we hang around buildings and stuff. We, as professionals, we all can look and imagine what would happen if we have 7, 9 people hanging outside a business establishment, 9, 10 o'clock with masks on. We don't have to guess what we think will happen.
Well, a new group of recruits joining the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. The 50 men and 10 women comprise new entry 57, woman entry 26, and are already hard at work toward transforming both their bodies and minds. The transition from civilian to military culture is expected to last 12 weeks, and upon successful completion, recruits are expected to have successfully passed all of the subjects covered in both the military and maritime phases. Now, the number of recruits taken in was greatly reduced, and the current entry will be split into groups of 3 during training in lieu of COVID-19 principles. We'll want to stay up to date with your latest news and may have missed the newscasts. You can check us out at any time on any of our social media platforms. Stay tuned. We're back after this.
Look, it's simple. Fidelity can consolidate all your bills with our debt consolidation loan. Give you 1 monthly payment and money in your pocket.
So let me get this straight, Miss Financial Coach. You say something about cash in my pocket?
Yes.
And a savings plan with 5% interest? Wow. Finally, a bank that's looking out for me. What do you want me to sign?
That's not all. We also offer competitive interest rates and free financial coaching.
That's Fidelity. You ain't in me. Well, do I sign?
You or a loved one currently under medical care? Do you need affordable medical supplies? Ports International is the largest home health care supplier. Our compassionate team is committed to patients and their loved ones. From hospital beds to wound care, wheelchairs to walkers, Ports is a one-stop shop for your medical supplies, and we accept all major insurance. With 2 locations to serve you, at Airport Industrial Park and Shirley Street, we also ship to the Family Islands. Visit us on Facebook or call Ports at 377-1771.
Our business is all about seeing the big picture, moving beyond age-old traditions for greater efficiency and growth, building on the strength of our foundation by evolving with technology and innovation, connecting million-dollar dreams with billion-dollar opportunities. This is our big picture. What's yours?
The specials that keep you going at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets. Par Excellence Parboiled Rice, 5-pound buy, $3.49. Hellman's Mayonnaise, gallon size, $12.99. Chicken leg quarters, 10-pound buy, 89 cents per pound. Rainbow corned beef, 12-ounce can, $1.89. Dana spare ribs, $2.89 per pound. Cardinal cream, large can, 99 cents. Open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's Super Value and Quality Supermarkets.
Don't let a hurricane catch you unprepared. At FG Insurance Agents and Brokers, we offer hurricane insurance coverage on homes, vehicles, businesses, and new construction projects. For coverage information or a free quote, call 396-1490 in Nassau and 688-1505 in Freeport or Abaco. You can also visit our website at www.fgiagentsandbrokers.com. Hurricane season begins June 1st, and FG Insurance Agents and Brokers wants to make sure you're covered.
Officials of the Ministry of Tourism have been actively promoting the entire country globally with a series of virtual sales missions in the U.S. and Canada, considered the country's top visitor markets. Due to the inability to host face-to-face interactions, tourism sales teams launched online webinars, virtual travel shows, and trip simulations, as well as live social media sessions to disseminate more information on the Bahamas reopening in several weeks. Tourism Director General Joy Jirbelu hosted the 2 days of virtual meetings, solidifying the message that the Bahamas remains committed to providing travel suppliers, travel agent communities, key meeting and wedding planners, the boating community, and business partners with the resources and information they need to assure new and returning guests that the Bahamas is ready and open for business. Minister of State for Grand Bahama, Senator the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, says he's optimistic about future plans for the Grand Lucayan Resort, as the intended purchasers have committed to progressing with its plans to open for business. The government signed a $250 million heads of agreement in March with Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines and the ITM Group to purchase the property, which is also intended to create 3,000 direct and indirect jobs for Grand Bahama. Thompson says recent discussions with Royal Caribbean have been encouraging, although the project may be slowed.
Obviously, timelines may have shifted a bit, so we think that all in all, there might be a shift of about 6 months or so. That's what they had indicated. But given the circumstances of the world and given the circumstances of the country, given the circumstances of the cruise industry, we are very, very pleased that they have reaffirmed their commitment to moving ahead with the project. And we're also very pleased that they also have indicated that their intention is to bring additional cruise ships even prior to the completion of their new cruise port, which again is good news for Freeport. We think that Freeport is going to be well poised to take advantage of the rebuilding of the cruise industry.
Now, Thompson says Carnival Cruise Lines is also continuing its plan to build what is slated to be the biggest cruise port in the world on Grand Bahama. The company signed a $100 million heads of agreements last September, but in February announced a doubling of that investment to at least $200 million. The development set for Sharp Rock, East Grand Bahama, includes a water park, nightclubs, restaurants, and an inland waterway. Thompson says the development will also likely be impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Still in their permitting stage, as you would recall, they have completed their heads of agreement and now moving ahead in terms of the permitting stage. They're still in that permitting stage. Obviously, given the circumstances, we think that their timelines also are going to change as well. So we await to hear official word from Carnival with respect to their timelines.
Long Islanders encouraged to get back into farming as another means of stimulating the economy. Area MP Adrian Gibson says the global pandemic has forced us to look even more closely at food security. And in light of this, he's shipped more than 1 million seeds of squash, cantaloupe, carrots, cucumbers, kale, pepper, and much more to the island. He says the distribution is expected to begin this week.
Though known for its farming and fishing prowess, we've seen a steady decline in farming in Long Island in recent years. And so it is our hope, it is my hope, that this effort would lend to more economic and employment opportunities, that it would lend to the production of healthy and essential food crops, and that it contributes to our nation's food safety and food security. And though others will have an opportunity to attain these packages, the initial distribution of seeds will target farmers, and I'm certain that there will be something left for persons who want to engage in backyard farming, etc. The seeds are already bundled and packaged for each recipient who would receive one. I believe that this purchase and distribution will in some part contribute to the success and the further development of the local agricultural sector.
All right, it's time now for a check of your weather. Baz, is it a good time to plant? I don't know.
Certainly is. As a matter of fact, right now we're having some light rains outside of our studios, which is always a good time to put those seeds down. But right now we're going to take a look at temperatures around the Family Islands, and they are brought to you by Family Guardian Insurance Company. We're protecting you. 81 degrees in Freeport, Grand Bahama, Green Tulkey at 81. A little cooler in Marsh, Ababaco at 79 degrees. In the Berry Islands, 81. 82 in Alliston, Bimini. 80 degrees in Harbor Island. Roxanne, Luttrell also at 80 degrees. Alderstown, Canal, 78 degrees. 83 degrees in Stanley Key, in Exuma Chain, also Camp Space at Andros at 83. Fresh Creek, Central Andros, they have a temperature of 82 degrees. San Salvador and Rum Key, 78 degrees, 81 degrees in Georgetown, Exuma, Ragged Island, Clarence-Town, Long Island, Crooked Island, Betsy Bay, Maguana, Acklands, all at 81 degrees. Matthew-Town, Inagua, 83, and the Turks and Caicos Islands at 82 degrees. And your boating forecast tonight is brought to you by Builders Mall, home of FYP, the Tile King, and the Paint Setter. For all areas, light and variable winds tonight with flat seas. They they're going to be around 1 to 3 feet over the ocean, but that will be changing. High tide takes place at 38 minutes past midnight. Tomorrow in the northwest Bahamas, the winds become easterly, picking up in speeds 12 to 18 knots. So we'll put a caution flags up tomorrow morning in the northwest Bahamas, wave heights 3 to 6 feet over the ocean. Low tide, that will take place at 7:12 in the morning. The high tide will occur at 1:11 in the afternoon. For the central and southeastern islands tomorrow, easterly winds as well. Winds also increasing 15 to 20 knots. Very rough sea conditions 4 to 7 feet over the ocean. So the central and southeastern Bahamas will also be under a caution flag starting tomorrow. And then as we take you into Friday, for all areas, the winds become east to southeast, 12 to 18 knots throughout the 700 islands. Wave heights 3 to 6 feet. Caution flags remain in place. Low tide 8:02 in the morning. The high tide will take place at 2:07 in the afternoon. And that's going to do it for your boating forecast. It's time now for your international temperatures, and they are brought to you by Royal Star Assurance Company. That's going to do it for your international temperatures, brought to you by Royal Star Assurance. But stay tuned. Your extended weather forecast is coming up in about 8 minutes.
When you want to save money on your tile supplies, who you gonna call? The Tile King. When you tile your house and you want to look good, who you gonna call? The Tile King.
Visit the new Tile King showroom, which is internationally recognized as the finest tile showroom in the Caribbean, located in the Builders Mall on Wolf Road.
The Tile King.